Welcome to Unmask Facts TV. Today, we're going deep into the shocking history that explains why certain food habits still persist in China, no matter how disturbing they may seem. From bizarre animals to even the unthinkable, let's explore the brutal history that shaped a nation's survival instincts. Let's dive in. We all know that Chinese cuisine is one of the richest and most diverse in the world. But some of the things they eat, spiders, snakes, worms, and bats, can be shocking to many. But these habits didn't come out of nowhere. There's a deep, painful reason behind why certain creatures became a part of their diet. And believe me, it goes beyond just a preference for exotic foods. To truly understand this, we need to rewind history to the late 17th century. At its peak, the Ottoman Empire had a population of about 30 million people. But China, over 130 million. Even centuries ago, China's population was staggering, and it hasn't shrunk despite experiencing some of the most brutal massacres in human history. Why? Because China has fertile lands, diverse climates, and an unmatched ability to feed its people. The huge population was both a blessing and a curse, and the Chinese government had to find ways to control it. Throughout Chinese history, peasants were forced into grueling work to survive, often at the mercy of the government's oppressive quotas. Fail to meet them, and the punishment could be death. It was a life-or-death struggle to grow enough food and keep up with government demands. Some argue that societies who consume red meat tend to be more aggressive and rebellious, while agricultural societies like China, which mainly relied on vegetables, tended to be more docile. It's a theory, but it might explain why, despite the suffering, China rarely saw large-scale rebellions. Fast forward to the 20th century, and we come to one of the darkest chapters in China's history, the Great Famine, brought on by Mao Zedong. The communist leader's quest to transform China into an industrial powerhouse led to disastrous policies that would kill millions. Mao's Great Leap Forward started in 1958, focusing on massive industrial and agricultural production. But instead of building a prosperous future, it tore the country apart. With extreme quotas and forced labor, the Chinese population suffered like never before. To erase China's history, Mao's Cultural Revolution, 1966, destroyed everything, from temples to historical artifacts. Craftsmen, scholars, and anyone associated with the past were persecuted. The very culture that once made China great was being wiped out. The worst part? The famine wasn't just about food. It was about the destruction of people's dignity, their way of life, and their humanity. People were forced to eat whatever they could find, dead animals, insects, even mud, to survive. And then came the sparrows. In 1958, Mao ordered a nationwide campaign to kill every sparrow in China. Why? Because these birds were eating the grains the government needed to meet its quotas. The result? A short-term reduction in grain consumption. But soon after, insects began to swarm in place of the sparrows. What followed was unimaginable devastation. Insects and rats overran the fields, crops were destroyed, and China's agricultural system collapsed. The people, now starving, had to turn to even more horrific means of survival. People ate whatever they could find, grass, bark, and even human flesh. It's hard to even imagine the desperation and horrors of this period, and yet it's a reality that many survivors still carry with them today. One heartbreaking story from a survivor's interview recounts how a little girl had to eat her own mother's body to survive after the starvation reached its peak. She wasn't the only one. Thousands of families were torn apart in the struggle to stay alive. The death toll during the Great Famine is estimated at over 60 million people, an entire country's worth of lives lost. But even after the famine ended, the trauma lived on. China's people had been through horrors that would forever shape their relationship with food. Today, despite efforts to modernize, China's food production is failing to keep up with the growing population. The country faces significant droughts, which have drastically impacted crop yields. And in a nation that's already lived through extreme hardship, the question remains, how will China cope with the challenges ahead? The question now is whether China will be able to avoid another famine. With climate change and food shortages threatening the country once again, what will the future hold? The trauma of the past still looms large, and it's clear that the scars of history continue to shape the way the Chinese see food and their survival. Share your thoughts in the comments. Will history repeat itself? What do you think the future holds for China and its people? Let us know below. Thanks for watching Unmasked Facts TV. Don't forget to subscribe for more content and share this video with your circle. Let's continue to uncover the truth together. Take care until next time.